Welcome to the Art of Relationshiping and Becoming a Gentleman. Tonight, you get Michelle Hoffmann and Christopher Linkenbach as your relationship coaches. And we are going to talk about dating and the dynamics of relationships. This is the 101 level. So with that, here we go. I am going to share my screen with you and I'll get us going. I will move the attendees and the chat, which you might see me looking back and forth at because I want to make sure that I can see. We have a whole bunch of people on listening in and we love your participation. So with that, I want to make sure that you know that we are seeing your comments. So you have come to the right place. Welcome. We are so glad that you are here. It means that you are ready. You are taking the steps to becoming the person you would like to be in a partnership, in healthy relationshiping. And we are wondering, let's see how this chat is working for us. So will you hit the chat bar and let us know where you're calling in from? Because I can see that we are coming in from South Carolina, from San Francisco. Christopher Linkenbach you're in Austin.
Correct.
We've got some New York City, some Austin, love Austin. South Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, Mooresville. So we've got some locals to you. We've got some locals to me. This is awesome. Okay, so I'm also trying to, and Asheville, I love Asheville. We're trying to get you used to being engaged in the chat. We want you to get excited. We want you to be part of what is going on. Here we are, and life is better with good love in it. And so many people can be particularly successful in every aspect of their lives. You can be professionally successful and you can find success because we are taught at school how to do the exercises. We know if we just, learn how to, get the alphabet together, then we can start forming words and sentences, then we can do paragraphs. And before you know it, you're writing essays, novels, and books that are hitting international bestseller level. But the same does not always hold true with how to have a relationship. So I find that I've got clients who are successful beyond belief in their professional life, successful beyond belief in their ability to put together a really fun event or whatever their expertise is that they have practiced professionally. And you may have an incredible list of friends. But when it comes to intimate relationships and dating, things are a little bit different. And I'm going to go with next slide, if I could get there. There we go. So I'd like to start with, wouldn't it be awesome if, let's start with this, deep breath and a big open mind, just radical inspiration. Why would you like to be in a relationship? And if you could create that today, what would be your dream come true? If I could wave a magic wand. So go ahead and put in the chat, what would make for a dream come true relationship? What would
I would like to point out, even if you think that this is kind of just like a silly exercise, even just typing and putting something out into the universe is, you're taking action. You're putting something in writing. And obviously, we're trying to get some stimulation from the chat box, but even just creating something physical and putting it into reality is just so important to just kind of acknowledge and take action in the direction of what you are looking for. So, an action like this, if you're even just typing in chat box or even just journaling is so important. So Michelle, yeah, I would just on that.
So what would be your dream come true? Anyone with whom I feel comfortable on all levels. Thank you, Parth. Being comfortable on all levels creates a relationship where you can be vulnerable and share your open heart and know that somebody, when they're making decisions, has your best interest in mind for the long run. All right, David's got a dream come true relationship.
Mhm.
You'll be sharing wonderful memories and experiences together with passion. I like that. Daniela's looking for a man who is honest, fun loving, very intelligent, great sense of humor, and is not intimidated by me and my independence. Ooh, Daniela, you are in the right place. I would also, oh, Carlos, it's good to see you. Open communication and trust.
Mm.
Natalie is looking for a soulmate and a best friend. Beautiful. So you are typing it, you are creating the first step, a relationship that has safety, open, effective communication, passion, and lots of laughter. Donita, I love that. Lisa is looking to be connected emotionally, intellectually, and last but not least, physically. Emotional connection first. These are vital, vital, vital things for you to know about, because then it's an understanding of yourself. And it's also, as Christopher was saying, you're sending the message out to who you'd like to invite into you. It also creates more clarity so that you don't have the blind spots, so that you know when you see the right person, you're going to know them when you see them. But if you don't have an idea, you go, well, this person's coming in, let's see if it works. You see the difference there? So imagine, if you will, that despite however successful you are in every other aspect that you like of your life, that you're here because in this aspect of your life, you'd like to overcome the loneliness of life. And somehow on your island, you might be feeling in the quiet moments of the night that it's like you don't want to die alone. There may be fear and anxiety or disappointment, that you had expectations in your life that it was just naturally going to happen for you, and then things didn't go the way that you planned them to. So once again, I'd like to thank you so much for coming here and sharing your time with us. I am really excited that you are here, because this is the time. You have clearly stated that you are ready to take action and not necessarily be alone on this island anymore. Despite how idyllic it might be, at some point, it's really wonderful to share your life experience with someone else. So if you were wondering, what are the missing steps? What's the secret? What is it that the happy people that you see holding hands and walking through time together, or, they're playing on your island here on the beach and having a wonderful vacation, or when they need each other, they're there for each other. What are those steps that you're missing? So we're going to talk about those kinds of things this evening so that you can embrace the thrill of possibility. And we've got some special treats and gifts for you for being our guest today, and anyone who's listening to this in the future. And it is time. How long will you wait to write your life story and your love story? And it's, if you're single and you're looking for love and you are ready, what do you need to do? And what's the message that you've been sending out to attract the relationships that you desire? And the beauty of this is it does work for personal relationships. It also works for professional relationships. There's a secret for that. Because it is time. It is time in your life, and you deserve the right love for you. So stop yearning to find true love. Learn how to attract the right one for you. You're in the right place. Christopher, will you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you're here?
Absolutely. So, in a quick synopsis, I just want to say Michelle and I, we met each other instantly, and we just instantly hit it off. And I think that one of the reasons that her and I connect so well is that we both love love, and we both love understanding love. And for me, this is something that I've always sort of had in the background, but I was actually a little bit afraid of sort of acknowledging and opening myself up to. But it was really through my understanding. It was through a lot of heartbreak and pain that I finally came into the realization that nobody teaches us how to have healthy and loving relationships. There isn't a school for it, really. We don't learn about it. We kind of are just like, the analogy I like to use is thrown into a dark cave, and we're sort of just like feeling our way through it, and we're hitting our heads and we're stubbing our toes. And when I came to the realization that I didn't have a framework for healthy dating and relationships, that's when I realized, oh my goodness, what is going on here? And really stopped to take a look around and recognize that there are a lot of unhealthy relationships, and a majority of relationships might end in heartbreak or not in the best of ways. And so for me, it just caused me to take a minute and pause. And I took a year off of just dating and relationships, and really just took some time to just understand myself better. And then also dove deep into the realms of masculine and feminine dynamics, and just even the basic levels of understanding relationships, and understanding that there are different skills that come with the initial attraction phase of picking up and talking to a significant other. And then there are different skills that you bring into the relationship. And there, some of them are the same and some of them are different throughout that process. But for me, it was just, I remember the exact moment I was alone in Salamanca, Spain at 3 a.m. And I had just had my heart broken once again. And this was the last time. And I knew that I never wanted to experience this kind of pain again. And so it was from that suffering that I was able to eventually just find it within myself to make a stand that I was going to set healthy boundaries for myself and not allow myself to get involved in codependent or unhealthy relationships, or get involved with somebody who I don't necessarily belong with anymore. And it was from that place that I recognized that there was a desire within me to really find a healthy and loving relationship. And I really wanted to learn how to cultivate real love. And ultimately, I just wanted to experience what it's like to be open with another individual, to experience what true intimacy is like, and to look into somebody's eyes and to really just feel and have that same love reciprocated back towards me that I felt towards them. And the first time that I felt not only that I was able to attract a woman into my life that I found to be someone who I was just absolutely blown away with head over heels, but to also have them feel the same way back towards me was one of the most amazing sensations that I've ever experienced. And it was from that place that I recognized that I wanted to be able to give this back in any way that I could. And that's really what, drove my passion, my purpose into helping to cultivate healthy and loving relationships.
That's awesome. Thank you, Christopher. I'm Michelle Hoffmann. I'm the founder of the Art of Relationshipping. How did I get here? Well, professionally, I was a portfolio manager. I was an executive in a medical publishing company, and I dealt with all the relationships for the internal clients, the external client relationships, with the huge strategic liaisons. And it was not until I became a social scientist and the Department of Medicine at Stanford that I realized I've been a social scientist and a relationship expert my entire life. And I had dreamed since I was a little girl to grow up and meet the man that would be perfect for me, and to have, we literally had basically the white picket fence, the 2.5 children. The 0.5 looked a lot like this dog's predecessor. And it was not a, outrageous life, but it was the right life for us. I found the man of my dreams, and I got to be his girlfriend, and I got to be his fiance, and I got to be his wife, and we co-parented together. We built a home together. We built a family together. We built a life together, and it was perfect until he died. That made me head of household, sole parent, and you guessed it, single. So I had to learn the rules of dating all over again, because I'm intended to be a partner, and I really wanted to be a good partner again. So with all of my professional and personal life experience, I've written 2 books. This is the professional life experience and the personal life experience. And I'm happy to share those with anyone after this. Just direct message me and I'll share a copy with you. They both became international bestsellers, and I help people go from lonely to love. and I help you understand the cycle of relationships from chemistry to casual to committed. And with that, we can go into detail on that later. Tonight, we decided to focus on some very specific topics. Each of us has a masculine and a feminine energy within us. In the dating world, each of these play a specific role in the law of attraction. So Christopher Linkenbach and I, Michelle Hoffmann, we are going to talk to you about the difference between masculine and feminine energy and understanding how to attract the right relationship for you and the simple steps to becoming more attractive. So in the chat, I wonder if you would like to share what qualities would you consider relationship ready, as I term it. So I think from the things that I've read before, we want someone who understands you, who accepts you, who has a sense of humor, who's emotionally balanced, who has an appreciation for a physical intimacy. What else, if you would like to share with us? Somebody who makes you feel safe. That's a really big one. Somebody who understands communication and passion.
Mm.
We've got somebody looking for a soulmate and a best friend. And it's okay with Christopher and me. If you want to private message someone, if you see someone in this group here that you are like, this, I might meet my person right here. We have screened yourself a little bit by being available, single, and interested in high quality relationshiping. So if there's someone on the sidelines that wants to meet on the sidelines here, you will have our support. So we're looking for emotional availability, being able to love yourself first, have your own life so you can share your life with a partner. And the comment is from Lisa is, I love me now, so I'm ready for the love for the last time. Yay, I love that. Thank you. So that leads us right into, how do I find the right love for me? And these were the thoughts that I had that other people and my clients share. I didn't want to date online because I didn't feel like I could afford a bad date, right? You need to know their identity. Thank you. There are ways to figure these things out in the real world when you're dating or meeting people in the wild, organically and online. I was feeling like my family couldn't afford me to go out on a bad date. I felt like it was exhausting, frustrating, boring, and disappointing. And I was feeling, and I imagine you might be feeling this at some point or another, I'm too old, too fat, too set in my ways, too this, too that, too X, Y, Z, too undesirable. And I was really just wishing that somebody could deliver my right next soulmate. And you can have more than one soulmate, is what I have learned in life. So let's talk about how to understand how to attract the right relationship for you. If somebody, so this is a great opportunity to put some ideas out there. Christopher, you can certainly jump in now, because when you and I are having these kinds of discussions, we often ask, would you date who you are right now?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think that the first and foremost, something that we need to remember and to recognize when it comes to attracting individuals is that we live in a universe of energy. We live in an energetic universe, right? And so attraction happens first at the energetic levels of reality before it happens anywhere else. And so to understand that means that in order to become attractive, we need to become the energy of attraction. And so what does that mean, right? Well, that means that you're in a state of confidence. You're in a state where you're feeling good, and you're in a state where you're having fun. And just like Michelle and I were talking about, being an individual who you would want to date is really just about taking a look in the mirror and just getting real with yourself for a moment, and just, having that little eye to eye, that conversation of, am I in a place where I would want to date me right now? And it's not about kicking yourself or beating yourself up by any means. This is really a journey of learning how to love yourself more. And it's really just about having that conversation and honoring yourself and where you're at and being able to acknowledge where you are and having that honest conversation with yourself. And it's from that place of honesty that you're able then to take action, right? You're able to say, if I want a partner who works out, who cares about fitness, maybe I should start working out and start caring about fitness. Or even, for instance, if I want a partner who is a good cook, why don't I start cooking? Why don't I start taking good cooking classes, right? Like, so becoming that partner for yourself, you are creating a vibrational reality for yourself that can then attract that individual of the qualities that you are looking for. So kind of to reiterate the entire conversation there, remember that attraction happens at the energetic level of reality first. So become that energy that you hope to attract by looking at yourself and having that honest conversation of, am I the individual that I would want to date right now?
Beautiful, Christopher. Thank you. All of that puts you in the mode of being open to invite the right person in. And I love that, David. Thank you. Excellent point about confidence and self-love and becoming a self-partner also. And it may be that, you want to be like this fitness guru, or that you want to be something that you're not right now. And one of the things that I'd like to reiterate is the importance of being authentic to who you truly are in the moment in this stage of your life. And yes, you can have a healthy relationship. You don't need to change your weight to be in a healthy relationship. You don't need that promotion at work. You don't need a certain number of dollars in your bank account to be in a healthy relationship. You don't need a fancy, shiny car. You don't need, a social status, those kinds of things. It's more important that you are authentic with who you truly are right now. And if it's not who you authentically are, to go and suddenly become a marathon runner, but you want to, have fun and be in shape and try what it would take to do a half marathon or whatever that is. I'm speaking from my own experience on that one. I always thought, what are they running from? And I realized when I was in a situation, and I had not even gone to the mailbox for 6 months because of my late husband's being on hospice and passing. And a girlfriend of mine said, I'm going to run a half marathon. And I'm like, well, I haven't gone to the mailbox in 6 months. I'll run it with you. What I realized in that is that I was running to something, but it wasn't that I was trying to be something that I'm not to get a totally fit partner. So move in such a way that you are creating a rich life for yourself. And that puts you in the attitude to meet your lover and be prepared for that wonderful relationship in this uplifted mode, as Christopher was saying.
And Michelle, on that real quick too, not only is it important to create that lifestyle of happiness to attract the partner, but if you don't even have a fun life that you have when you're single, it's not going to get better when you're in a relationship. And not only that, but then the relationship becomes a dependency, right? So if you're able to create a relationship with yourself first and have a lifestyle that you truly find fulfilling and fun and healthy, you're able to bring that into the relationship as opposed to trying to use the relationship to extract those feelings, which then you have, grounds for an unhealthy relationship. So being able to create that is so important, not just for attracting a partner, but also for cultivating a healthy relationship as well.
So essentially what we're talking about is this here. So if I can get that little video going. So I use the reference of relationship ready. I've got a whole program that gives you structure, that is a process that you can go from where you are now to confident that you are relationship ready. So when you're jumping into the dating pool, not only are you relationship ready, you can identify someone else who's relationship ready. So you don't get caught up with someone who might drag you down with them. Rather, you're identifying your person and you can share your life together. That's what this is all about. So let's talk about the difference between masculine and feminine energy And we can even discuss how and when to use them.
Mm.
So I'm going to take you to the next slide, which talks about masculine energy. And if you would like to contribute, what do you think is masculine energy in the chat? Let's see what your thoughts are and how and when to use that masculine energy. Christopher, would you like, what is masculine energy? Christopher, would you like to speak to this one?
Absolutely. And I think that it's also important that we preface this by just acknowledging that masculine and feminine energies does not mean man and woman. Masculine and feminine energies are energy patterns that exist at the deepest levels of reality, but they also exist within every human being and every relationship that we interact in. And so when we're talking about masculine energy, we don't mean the energy of a man. We're talking about an energy system that exists inside of us. And it just so happens that a lot of men tend to lean more to the masculine side of being within themselves, right? So understanding that first and foremost is so important that we clarify that. And it's also important to recognize that there are some men out there who might be a little bit more feminine as well. And that is completely okay. And I would even consider myself to be a very feminine, masculine man. But it's understanding what core energy we have in ourselves, because then we're able to bring that into a relationship. Because when we're in a relationship, we're playing with those divine poles. So just when we're talking about masculine energy, some of the masculine traits, understanding that masculinity at an energetic level is a singular point or a node of consciousness. It is just, it is the form. It is the world that surrounds us is everything that has form. It is the energy of being decisive. It is the energy of taking action, right? Masculine energy is the logic part of the brain. It is the left hemisphere of the brain. It is the side that is consistently analyzing. It is providing structure. When you think of masculine energy in terms of what in nature, think of like a large mountain, right? That mountain is going to be there regardless of what Mother Nature's throwing at it. It's going to be there. It's going to be there through the tornadoes, through the storms. It's going to be strong and be able to withhold its structure. The ultimate desire of the masculine is the desire for freedom. And so that can be seen as the desire, even in sexual play, as the desire for orgasm, but also known as the desire ultimately for death on some of the deeper levels, the desire for complete completion, right? So because we're in such a masculine society, there's a huge need for us to have some sort of completion or have this desire of the future of when X happens, then I'll be happy. Like this constant need to feel that we must complete something in order for everything to be okay, and then we can rest, right? So it's really learning to rekindle that essence of when it's okay to be in that masculine and when it's okay to sit back and receive. Masculine energy is the protective energy. It's a protective energy in the relationship, and it's also protective energy within ourselves, right? It's the energy inside of us that's boundaries, that says no. It's the part of us that protects our hearts as well. And masculine energy is a giving energy as well. Masculine energy is the energy of giving. And it really is, I think, in the realms of dating relationships, I tell this to most of my clients, if you do consider yourself to be more in the masculine part of who you are, like if you're being, you would identify a little bit more as masculine than feminine, then in the realm of relationship, you're not always going to 100% be in your masculine. I think the good rule of thumb is to be 80% of the time in your masculine and 20% of the time you're feminine. And if you're a woman and you identify a little bit more feminine, or you prefer to be a little more feminine as well, having that same rule where 80% of the time you're feminine and 20% of the time you're masculine, because as a man, I know that it's really important that I'm also in touch with my sensitive side as well. And I'm in touch with my emotions and being able to have that and not completely shut that off from my life. And I think that in relationships, it can be easy to overcompensate and always try to be the man or have these sort of societal conditions that have been placed on us in order to try and hold those frames in a relationship. But in reality, it's okay to be sensitive, and it's okay to have moments of true intimacy, and vulnerability really is sexy in relationships. So coming back into that energy as well. So in a brief nutshell, that's sort of what masculine energy is.
Brilliant. I have some female clients who talk about their need to be independent. Like they have been raised in such a way that they need to take care of themselves. They need to take care of everyone else. They tend to be givers. And so this is an example of what Christopher is saying, that we may have a very feminine person who's expressing masculine energy. The challenge that they have, and the reason that they're coming to me, is because men will sometimes not understand where they fit in the picture if they are also in the strong masculine energetic mode. So that's
Michelle, may I add something too with that?
yeah.
So you just sparked that idea too, which is that if you would like to start understanding your masculine, start analyzing the relationship that you had with your father or lack of relationship with your father. And that will give you a good understanding, because that was the first masculine archetype or entity that you had in your life. So to really start understanding your masculine, start, diving into that father, who was that caretaker in your life at the time, and how did you and them have a relationship?
Brilliant. And it's like you were just saying, it's not necessarily just a father figure. It could be somebody else's male role model, or your male role model, or a teacher or something like that. Somebody that we look up to will be somebody that we will tend to model ourselves after. The feminine energy is it's almost the opposite pendulum swing of this in many ways. And there's bountiful benefits to both the masculine energy and the feminine energy. And being able to toggle between is one way that you can get a clear picture. If you can balance that logic and emotion, that clear ability to make decisions versus the indecisiveness, the space between decisions is sometimes both very exciting and way too exciting, like terrifying. The feminine energy could be, rather than rigid, it could be this flexibility that you can go with the flow. And it could be, the masculine would be looking at logic, whereas the feminine is, what's the emotional situation here? Is it going to be, what's the anatomy of these emotions? And I use emotions as a GPS. What do these emotions tell us are really going on? So logic could give you sound numbers and profound data to help make decisions. So can emotional instincts, and being keyed in to an understanding of how you take information in from the world through your senses, through sight, taste, touch, sound, smell. I was like, oh, I missed one. And how does your brain organize those data points? And then what do you do with that information? How do you process it? And how do you input this into ultimately an algebraic equation using your life experience and your heart and your gut and your physical presence to interpret what's going on in the world and what you would like to influence to happen next? So feminine energy is that stillness. It's that moment where we can just be present and appreciate what's happening at this juncture in time, at this pinpoint of time. It's also this chaos rather than order and structure. It could be the Polak, what's his first name with the splatter paint? So a painting that is what?
It didn't come. I forget his name.
So I'm just forgetting his first name, but it was the splatter painting where it's chaos, where it's, thank you, Jackson Pollock. Yay, my people. I knew I had some art aficionados. It's this fluid formlessness. It's this entity, like if you're floating in water, and I mean, you can literally, there is certainly all this feminine energy in the embryonic state, as an example. Also, the feminine energy is this desire for connection. It's the desire for love. It's the desire for joy. And we will literally change our behavior to move through our feminine energy to make that connection. And I know in like moments of traumatic moments, in fight, flight, or the stillness, one of the things is the ability to ally. And that is feminine energy bringing together the force to gain structure. So the masculine side, but it's the feminine energy that initiates that. Feminine energy is the opening of the heart. It's nurturing, it's receiving, it's that flow, it's the cooperation, it's the collaboration. And it's all of that put together in this free flowing format. So if we were to put these very simple traits side by side, we can see that there is a balance of logic and emotion, of masculine and feminine. So would you all like to share like an example of when would you use or the knowledge of, oh wow, in this situation, using masculine energy may be more effective versus using feminine energy? What would be, how about, Christopher, let's give a suggestion. Figuring out where to go on a, I love that. I love that the misspelling, the intention that Parth was giving us was figuring out where to go on a date, but the misspelling was even better because it was figuring out where to go on a fate, because this date could be fate. Beautiful.
Yeah, as well.
That was fantastic.
Yeah. So just on that, I think that, if you guys want to answer, but figuring out where to go on a date, that to me, it feels very decisive, right? So that would be an individual who's in their masculine, and that could even be the opportunity. So I think when I go out and tell my girlfriend, I'm going to come pick you up at 6 o'clock on Friday, and I don't say anything else, and I just come and pick her up at that time and take her out for the evening, and she can just dress up and look her best and just know she's going to go out and have a good time. I feel that that helps her to open up in her feminine so much more, because she doesn't have to make any decisions, right? She doesn't have to decide on anything. And so if I have that whole evening planned out and taken care of, it really does help with that dynamic in that relationship. And I really recommend, at least for my clients, that they just, when it's a man going to pick up a woman, just set a time and a date, and then make it just suit like a surprise, make it very spontaneity, and don't ask them like, where would you like to go? What would you like to do? Just pick something and do it. And really, Michelle, you can correct me on this, but I feel like that's kind of just what, as a woman, you kind of enjoy, right?
I do enjoy that with somebody I already know.
Yes.
If it's a first date, I'm going to want a sense of security. Actually, I always want a sense of security. So early on in the relationship, I think that what both the feminine energy and the masculine energy can do is balance for each other. And the most important thing is to feel safe, to feel secure, to know that I can trust this person, that wherever we go is fine. That's when communication, trust, and respect, that triad in a relationship, really starts to up-level the relationship. So yes, so Lisa is saying, sometimes I like the man to decide, and sometimes I enjoy planning together, both. So Lisa is somebody who likes to co-create a relationship. So giving up all of that responsibility, for her, it's not her first choice. So really understanding who you're connecting with makes a difference there, and knowing what would be most relaxing or enjoyable for them. So I'm thinking of a date where, oh, so funny. My boyfriend was saying, he's now my boyfriend, but we went on this date, and it was early on in the relationship, and we were going for a 3-day boat excursion. And I said, well, how do I pack? And he said, well, just bring a pillowcase. I can't make this stuff up. I'm like, a pillowcase? And I'm like, can I get the girl version of how I should pack for this 3-day boating excursion? And he was like, I actually don't have the girl version of the packing list. He says he's bringing an extra pair of shorts and flip-flops. I'm like, okay. So in that case, it like giving up all of the decision making, to me, I wouldn't have been prepared with what to wear, and I wouldn't have been wearing the right thing, or so on and so forth. So yes, if now deep into the relationship, if he said, I'm going to pick you up at whatever o'clock and wear shorts and a t-shirt, he would never say that. But wear something that could be dressed up or dressed down. I would be like, okay, let's go. So I think there is an understanding
There's
of
a balance to it. Yep, there's an understanding, and also the different part of the relationship that you're at. It
Yeah.
also, yes, absolutely.
So from there, simple steps to becoming more attractive. And I'd like to take a moment here. It seems like the right place to talk about. I was saying this earlier. I don't know if it was in the green room or recorded, but all relationships go through the same cycle, from chemistry to casual to committed. And through my assessment, that first, the law of attraction that's magnetically drawing you to one another, those initial decisions when you first make an impression all happen in less than 1/10 of a second, like Christopher was saying earlier. So be who you truly are straight out and put your best foot forward, show and shine in that light, because that from chemistry form in that first part of a relationship is so exciting, and it builds up this chemical response in your body. Your serotonin is flowing, the endorphins, the cuddle drugs going crazy. You're getting this huge euphoric feeling like you've been eating chocolate galore. And it's so fun that it's literally changing your chemistry. And it happens on a subcellular level. It's amazing. And then as you connect with someone, you can go into the casual phase of a relationship. And these are, little subcircles, and they go around and around and around. But in the casual phase, this is where we get to enjoy what we know. And we love to anticipate things that we like. That's why we go to the same restaurant and we order our favorite food. That's why we like to watch movies and read books, the same books more than once. And that's why we like to go out with the same people who are our longtime friends, because we know what to expect. And we know that we can trust them and we respect them, and the communication is good to up-level that experience. So going from communication or from chemistry to casual, there's something else that happens in the casual phase. And in this phase, we are actually taking the time to say, what might be out of alignment here? And this information may give you insight to say, this is a green light. Let's continue forward into the committed stage of the relationship. And that would suggest that you're ready to go out on another date, or you might call each other, intimate partners, or you might move in together, or let's say you get married, or you decide to welcome children into the world, whatever it is, whatever that intimacy is that brings you together. Or also in this point is when you may identify not a green light, but I call it a yellow flag. And if that yellow flag isn't something you can clear into a green light, it's going to be the red flag that says, this is a no-go. The core values are out of alignment so much that it's time to cut and run, and thank this person for changing your life for the better. Maybe all you got was a lesson that you learned out of it, but this is it, from chemistry to casual to connected. So let's take a moment here and talk about simple steps to becoming more attractive. You want to step up to that one, Christopher?
You got it. So I think first and foremost, something that comes to mind instantly for this question is something that kind of can be a little bit intimidating, which is being vulnerable with who you are right from the bat, right? As Michelle was saying, being who you are from the very beginning is more attractive. And I think that in our culture, it's very easy to try and put on a mask, to try and show somebody that you are more attractive, try and be that perfectionist, try and prove yourself or show yourself, or earn some kind of validation by being something that you're not. And that might work a little bit initially, but that won't work in the long run, because then eventually that mask does come off. And so I think in order to at least cultivate long-term healthy and loving relationships, starting off being vulnerable with who you are is so crucial and so important. And when we talk about vulnerability, vulnerability is not being weak in any means. It's actually a strength. And vulnerability does not mean just going up and saying like, hey, I'm going through some serious depression right now. How are you doing? Like, that's not vulnerability in a healthy sense. When I'm talking about vulnerability means just being who you truly are in that moment. And so something that I tell a lot of my male clients, especially when they're growing up and just like first interacting with a woman, is just being vulnerable with their intentions in that moment. Instead of like beating around the bush, trying to play like these manipulative pickup games, just right from the bat saying something like, hey, I think you're attractive and I'd like to get to know you a little bit more. And from there, you're establishing who you are and you have, you're showing your intentions. And it's actually from that place of vulnerability that we allow for the grounds of attraction to be created. By taking that step in that direction, we create grounds for attraction to exist, right? So being attractive, I think, really can come down to being vulnerable. But I also think another huge attraction behavior is just confidence. And the thing about confidence is that doesn't come in just like an instant moment from time to time. It really is something that you cultivate over time. And so doing little simple techniques, like even just when you're at a grocery counter and speaking with the clerk and having a fun conversation there, right? Building those social skills, building up that confidence. And like we mentioned earlier, going and working out, making sure that you feel good internally and you feel good about yourself. Like building confidence is something that happens one step at a time. And I think one way about building confidence is just having even just some discipline in your life as well. Maybe having a good morning routine to help you get into a healthy state of mind for the rest of the day is so important. So I think that being vulnerable and also just like a healthy sense of confidence is really just that initial phase of attraction. Like Michelle was saying, we do pick up pretty quickly whether or not we find this other person to be attractive. We do have that instant connection or not. And so doing what you can with the factors, obviously attraction is not a choice. We don't choose who we're attracted to, but you can do and take action to increase the factors of becoming more attractive.
Brilliant. So to add to that, what I would say is think of one of your long-term friends. Like they are so gorgeous to you and attractive to you and meaningful to you. Literally, this could be the most important person in your whole life throughout your life. And if you really took a fine-tooth comb to this person, we're not going to be scrutinizing like this because we're not judgmental that way. They may not be the most physically attractive person in the world or whatever it is. But when you get to know someone over time and they become more important to you, that physical attraction, just the external, having symmetry in your features and being like emblazoned with abdominal muscles or whatever those things are that may be externally or superficially attractive, they become so meaningless. Again, I saw life and fast forward. My late husband had a 5-year cancer journey, and I got to tell you, it looked like he aged 100 years in those 5 years. And that's not always the most good looking, but boy, he was always the most attractive person to me because of the experiences in life that we shared together. And I just wanted to point that out because having this external confidence is awesome to like be super powered and to get out there and have the confidence that you need to understand what verbal and nonverbal communication is being sent out in the messages. And refer back to the beginning of this presentation, when you're on your island and you're sending messages out, it is sometimes really important to have someone who cares about you or who is very good at this, who can help you understand the messages that you're sending. And that will explain why the people you're attracting are not necessarily who you would like to be attracting. So it's very simple to make those adjustments once you understand that maybe the messages you're sending aren't what you're intending. So that's the benefit of having somebody like one of my clients says, when you're looking to do well in chemistry, you hire a chemistry tutor. When you're looking to do well in relationships, you hire a relationship coach. So I wanted to see I think I got my notes from what you were saying. I got them out. So the question at this point is, how much longer will you wait? how much longer will you wait to take control of your life and actually take the steps to write your life story and your love story? You may have been doing great in any and every aspect of your life, but for some reason, relationshiping can be challenging. And it actually can be so much fun. So Christopher and I would like to invite you to reach out to us. You can either come through relationshiping101.com. And if you go to relationshiping101.com, you can download essential tips to building an online dating profile that really works. It's my free gift to you from the lessons that I've learned the hard way and also the easy way, and lessons I've learned by working with people adjusting their profiles, just like you would make a really good resume for your professional career track. This is a way to create a clear understanding of who you are right now, what are your core values, and who you would like to invite in, and what core values would you like to invite in as you step into who you are becoming. So going to relationshiping101.com, and there's also a link there that you can schedule a dating strategy call with me, where we can talk about your relationship challenges and what would be your relationship dream come true, and how to get from Pain Island to Pleasure Island. In addition, Christopher's got a link, and this is the Calendly link, and you can schedule time with Christopher Linkenbach. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. We'll just come back to us. And as a special treat, if you'd like to connect with either of us, both of us would be happy to work with you if that's what will work for you. So with that, I'll put my link in the chat here.
I also just want to share too, that taking a step in terms of coaching really is investing in yourself. And it really is the energy exchange that comes with paying for something like this is your initiative to creating change in your life. And so it really is important. But yeah, if you even just want to have a conversation with me, you can schedule. I put a link in the chat as well, just to kind of get some clear about some things. Happy to open that up as well. And I think we're going to open up the floor here in a bit.
Yep.
For some conversations.
So if anyone would like to step up and share an experience, I probably should have waited for you to raise your hand, but I'd like to allow everybody to talk. And if for some reason you don't have the ability to.
Michelle, we have a question in the chat about the video of the webinar.
Yes, I can share the recording. Okay, we've got a hand up. Now I need to go get you. Lisa, thank you for joining us. I will see you tomorrow. All right, so I need to figure out. Cherie, I'm happy to see you. I've got people.
There you go. Hey, how are you?
I'm happy to see you.
I know. Good to
Glad
see
you're
you.
here.
I came in late because stupid Facebook and Zoom wouldn't accept my password and I got
I'm
locked
sorry
out.
about that. Well, I'm glad that you're here. So I saw somebody raise their hand, but I don't see it now. If anyone would like to step up and ask a question, you can take yourself off mute, or I'm trying very hard to get everybody off mute.
I do have a question.
Yeah, bring it.
Okay, so remember I was telling you about the whole dating apps and difficulty, like taking the conversation from just on the app or texting to a real phone call or, hey, let's meet in person. Like, how do you progress the conversation and the interest that way?
Okay, so there's a couple of different questions here. And this, so are you talking about, I want to be specific to answer this specific question, but are you talking about how do you know this is someone that you want to have a deeper conversation with? I know I challenged you this week to do this, so I'm very proud of you. Or do you mean, how do I up-level the relationship? Oh, you know what? Now I've got some backlog here. I'm going to ask you to mute yourself. There we go. Unless you're talking. So the question, I think the question is, how do you go from the app to an actual chat or a phone conversation? Is that where you were going, Cherie?
Right. Mhm.
Okay. So here's my tips and techniques to do that in a safe way, because I know that, you know, the online dating world is filled with people who are not who they say they are. So I want to put that extra layer of security in, especially for my clients. And I can do background checks and things like that for you if you get to that point. But here's a tip that I have found to work. When the conversation in the chat, first of all, is somewhat evenly balanced, like the amount of information or text, even just the size of the response is about the same, that would be one thing. So the cadence of the give and take in a chat should be about the same. What I have seen is people who will be like giving away these like long dissertations of who they are and what they're about and how they want their life to be. And it takes some of the mystery out of actually building the attraction together. So I'm not asking you to play games, but I am asking you to invest at the very early stage about the same level of interest until something sparks. And then if you're like, I really would like to do a deep dive and get to know this person a little better. Here's a tip that I have used, and that is to ask them to demonstrate that they are who they say they are. And one way they can do that is by sharing a Facebook page, a LinkedIn page, any social media, anything like that. What I have experienced, and Christopher, I'm eager to hear what you have to say, is somebody who is not willing to share who they really are at the very beginning. Maya Angelou says, if someone is telling you who they really are when you first meet them, believe them. My philosophy is, even if this relationship goes far down the line, my concern is I'm going to be in the bathroom, I'm going to run out of toilet paper, and my boyfriend is not going to be willing, I could be calling, and he's not going to be willing to stop watching the game to bother to get up and get me toilet paper. Now, I realize it's a real life situation. These are my concerns. I want to be with someone who would go out of their way to do that act of service if I were in a compromised situation. So at the very beginning, would they be willing to share who they really are? Now, I just this week, and we'll talk about this tomorrow night, but a situation came up where a client was interested in having a deeper discussion with someone who was not on social media. There is nothing wrong with that. However, I would like some demonstrable proof that they are who they say they are. You don't need to give personal identifying information. One fella at one point crossed out all the information on his driver's license that would be too disclosing. And then he sent me that picture. My current boyfriend is not on social media or at all. And he sent me his degrees. He sent me pictures. He sent me he's got a VRBO site. And all of those have enough information to demonstrate that he is who he's saying he is. So from there, what we're looking for is enough communication to build trust, which then builds respect. So that triad. Cherie, did I answer your question?
You did for the most part. I think that's kind of what I've been doing. So apparently the ones that just give you one word answers, like if we both just giving each other 1 or 2 word answers and you're not asking questions, there's never going to be a conversation. So I typically delete them after like the first few lines of getting nothing back.
If that's the only relationship that you're interested in and is, hey, sup, how's it going?
Right.
Good. Then that's fine. I know you, and I know that you're interested in a much deeper relationship than that. You're also pretty intellectual and you're very in the world. So you're going to want somebody who's fun and playful. because that's who you're looking for. I have a little inside scoop on Cherie. That's who you're looking for. So just going, sup is not really going to be enough for you to be like, yeah, this is my person.
Right.
And you can ask open-ended questions and encourage that. And, I have lists and lists of things like that. We'll want to customize them for you to make them meaningful to you. One of the questions I ask is, what is something ordinary, or asked, I'm not on the sites anymore. What is something ordinary you have never done? So I'm screening a whole bunch of things right there. One, do you understand it was a double negative? Are you going to play my reindeer game? And if you say, I've never done anything ordinary, I'm going to go, that's hard to believe.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll come up with some questions like that for you that are meaningful and that will help give you some insight into somebody's core values so that we can line them up with yours, because you're interested in somebody who's interested in family. So we want to ask some questions like, what was the funnest thing that you've done with your family lately? Christopher, do you have any comment to that? And Danielle?
Yeah, and it real quick and simple for me. So I would say like what Michelle said, verify their identity, like make sure you're speaking with a real person, find out their Instagram, and then obviously, do that. But then afterwards, just if you feel comfortable and you feel that they are someone that you have verified their identity of, just put in some kind of contact information that you like to use, whether that's Snapchat or even your phone number, and then just put yourself in their orbit. And then from there, hopefully you're setting a date, right? Because I think it's so easy to get wishy-washy and send a bunch of texts back and forth, and on dating apps, great, that's awesome. But what is the ultimate goal? You're trying to meet them. So having some form of contact information, putting yourself in their orbit, and then even maybe going a non-traditional route, you could even ask them on a date and just saying, hey, I'd love to meet up with you sometime. Are you free to get together? And putting that, in your own court, right?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and Michelle, we have some questions in the chat.
Questions in the chat, and Daniela, you'll be on deck also. So Judy Jones asks, what happens when men act all into you, call you every night for 2 weeks, and then after 2 dates, ghost you? You want to speak to that one, or shall I go?
I can at least start off by saying that they're actually doing you a favor, because if they're leaving you after 2 dates, then that wasn't meant to be. Then that wasn't the person that you would have probably wanted to go on 3 or 4 dates with, if that's the kind of behavior pattern of immaturity that they are still holding themselves to, right? It's extremely immature to invest a couple dates with somebody and then to completely just ignore them. So in my opinion, I actually think they're doing you a favor. What's happening? They're either getting scared, they find out that they don't like you and they're too afraid to tell you. Maybe there's an ex relationship in the picture, and it really could be a bunch of different reasons. But at the end of the day, I do think that they're actually helping you out by just, instead of keeping you strung along for 3-4 months, they're just ending it there. So, yeah.
If we were going to follow from chemistry to casual to committed, Judy, where is somebody who is acting all into you every night for 2 weeks and then ghosts you? Are they in chemistry, casual, or committed? Oops, I just lost my chat. Excellent. Chemistry, right? They're staying in chemistry. There's yeah, thank you. So the question really, I'll rephrase the question, is if somebody is acting all into you for a couple of weeks and then suddenly they ghost you, what do we do in this situation? And what I'm saying, which y'all are understanding perfectly, yay, is this is a person who's staying in the chemistry mode. And that's fine. If all you want to do is get that endorphin rush, maybe have a physical, intimate exchange, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with any of it. However, it sounds like Judy's interested in getting into the casual committed and going through a relationship cycle and really connecting with someone on a deeper level and up-leveling it through communication, trust, and respect. But somebody who keeps throwing and staying right in that chemistry mode, it's what you're getting out of it. So you actually do get something out of it, and appreciate this rather than being upset. As Christopher is saying, they are doing you a favor. but enjoy that endorphin rush. Man, that felt good. Somebody is adoring you. Somebody is like lifting you up, but don't get stuck in that either. So one of the things that I work on with my clients is, what's your dating strategy? And depending on where you're at in your life, you may, try to do a deep dive with one person at a time, or, the online dating world is like junior high, in my opinion. You go out, you try things, you make mistakes, it works or it doesn't, you see what works and what doesn't. And there's like a whole buffet. So really, it's a matter of knowing exactly who you are and what you're looking for, and then being flexible, because it might be that person on the inside, but it doesn't look like you had imagined on the outside. But going, nope, 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 nope. Oh, we're interesting. Let's do a deep dive. Nope, 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 nope. And you can date more than one person at a time, as long as you're honest and authentic about that. And then at some point, you're going to make the decision that you want to go deeper into a relationship with one person.
I say we let's take Natalie, and then we'll do Daniela.
Okay.
So Natalie asks, I keep meeting guys that are not looking for anything serious. How do I break the cycle? I present myself as a wholesome and family-oriented woman. Natalie, I would love to ask you to recognize that we attract that which we, not what we want, but that which we are, right? So what I mean by that is, if you are noticing in your life that you're attracting a certain pattern of men who are not committed, maybe taking an internal look at a part of you that maybe isn't afraid, that is a little bit afraid of taking that next step into commitment, and maybe just checking in with that part and asking that part if it needs a little love from you, or what you can do to help it feel a little more safe and secure. I think that presenting yourself as a wholesome, family-oriented woman is a fantastic way to start jumping into that. And if you keep presenting yourself in that way, you will find a man who's looking for that. But just remember that if we are attracting certain type of individuals in our life, it's the universe's way of telling us that there's something inside of us that maybe needs some examining. So maybe taking that time to just really go internal and have a conversation with yourself there.
I totally agree, Christopher. There's some message that you're sending that is attracting a person who's still interested in just the chemistry phase. So if you're looking for something deeper, then schedule some time with Christopher or me, and we'll figure out what the relationship challenge is and what the dream come true is going to be and how to get there. Because there's something that is in a blind spot for you, and you're not seeing it. It's not obvious to you because you are going through your life the way you think you should be. And then you're like, why is this not working? So there's several reasons that could be happening. Daniela, do you want to ask a question? I think David wanted to ask a question if Daniela is not stepping up. 3, 2, 1. All right, David, did you have a question? There was someone else who had a question.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, bring it.
Sure. So I'm not too sure if this is applicable to the current conversation, but I'm so interested in things like sustaining a relationship and keeping it going once you get that. I guess I'm not too sure the terms casual to committed, and really just keep getting that ball going. Really, I found myself in within a 2-year relationship, suddenly things kind of became very complacent in our mannerisms between each other, and it kind of just unraveled, right?
Right.
And what that does to, what does it mean really to keep that ball together and just keep it going? I'm just curious about that and your takes on it.
Right. So this is all about, the first question I should ask is, should I stay or should I go? Do you want to stay in this relationship, or are you questioning, should I consider leaving the relationship? And I want to do that with no regrets, just so that I'm starting from the right starting point. Do you know where you're at there?
Oh, sorry. This is a past relationship that's already completely unraveled. So
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just asking,
Sorry, we
and
didn't get to you quickly enough. So this was
yeah.
this was a done deal. So from chemistry to casual to committed, after 2 years, that's actually the point where, right. So the question that Judy is asking is, how does one overcome complacency? So I'm going to give you the structure again, from chemistry to casual to committed. And if you're in a long-term, or a 2 years is actually when I would recommend people, we need to spark and reignite the chemistry again, if it's not happening naturally. And then I would give you 1,000 ways to do that from different perspectives. But essentially, sharing life experience with someone is super beautiful. But be expecting them to be a mind reader is not. And so what happens sometimes in these types of complacent relationships is we become roommates, or somebody becomes a parent and someone's a child, because that's what we've seen modeled for us. Rather than taking that route, what you can do, so, okay, chemistry, casual to committed, right? The way that you up level those relationships is through communication, trust, and respect. And as you continue to communicate with one another back and forth, verbal and nonverbal will bring like the level of intimacy way up. And then what happens is we'll send you back into the chemistry phase with, and I will call this an adrenaline rush. And this could happen on a daily basis, weekly, monthly, whatever. Even in a really healthy relationship, you can up level the adrenaline rush. I mean, obvious ways. And we were just talking about this the other day, of going for a roller coaster ride. Well, automatically, bam, we were in Disneyland one year and I'd had enough. And I'm like, I need Mother's Little Helper. And I went on that California Adventure ride and it was like, whoo, that'll do it. I'm good. Thank you. Because my chemistry totally changed. So it was literally a physical thing. But sharing a new restaurant, getting excited about a vacation together, doing something novel for the two of you is the way to keep that chemistry alive. So if you do that on a regular basis with someone, like Christopher was saying, to me, the date that you were setting up, Christopher, was, like, here's what you should wear and here's what you should bring. I would call this a mystery trip, actually. And I'd be like, okay, I'm going on a mystery trip with my guy. So doing things that are fun or exciting, action adventure movies, talking about them, doing something new together, trying a new skill. That's where dancing or scuba diving or these exciting things that bring you closer, because you want to share a rich and full life together. If it's taking a cooking class, maybe it's making a meal together. I mean, if it was a recent relationship and it was all during the pandemic, it was a little extra challenge to make virtual fun. So those are some of the things to do to keep the relationship fresh, to keep it alive. It could be, let's do cosplay. Let's watch all the Marvel movies in order. It could be something super simple that doesn't cost anything, to let's go backpacking through Europe, or let's learn how to scuba dive. Does that answer your question, or is there more to it?
Michelle, I'd like to jump in on this one as well. And I just want to acknowledge David he's a brother in my men's group, and he is absolutely that. He is a brother. He's an awesome guy. And I just want to say, so I know from our previous conversation, we talked about relationships last week in our men's group. And I remember briefly, David, you'd mentioned that you guys were living together. And I think that can also kind of just like learning to interact in a way that you don't dissipate that energy, like Michelle's saying, keeping anticipation within the relationship. So there are things to look forward to. And then also even back to our conversation from earlier in this session, which is that keeping those masculine and feminine energy dynamics, because it can be very easy to become neutral in that relationship. And once that happens, then we become roommates. We no longer become lovers. And that's so easy to do. And it's really just kind of learning the art of relationship, which is there are certain sort of like just learning how to come back to that assurance and being that masculine presence within the relationship. And I think that a good way about going about this is even just like asking yourself at the time, like, how committed were you to your purpose and your drive and your mission at that time of your life? Were you more invested, maybe perhaps in the relationship than you were in your own individual self? And when we do that, and especially as men, we're sacrificing ourselves, and that dissipates the energy in the relationship. And so allowing ourselves to come back into our masculine power is reconnecting to that purpose and that mission. But in terms of creating healthy and long-lasting relationships, even something that I've noticed as well is if you are living together, space apart, finding space apart too, like having trips where you two go away for a little bit, maybe for a weekend. Then you become excited to see each other again. Esther Perel, who's a marriage and family psychologist, talks about the 2 times when people feel most sexual desire towards individuals are when they're either up on stage doing something in their element, or when there's time apart, because that time apart allows for sexual attraction to rebuild. It's just like sexual attraction works just like playing music. It is the notes that is the release of the sexual attraction, and it's the space apart of the notes that allows for the notes to be played. So that space apart, that time apart from each other, even if it's just a day, if you guys are living together, having that day apart and then coming back together for the evening, sitting down and having a dinner together, and sharing that time together, I think is so important. But it really is learning to dance. And it's not like you're always going to be in that masculine, feminine pole. There will be neutral moments, and it's learning how to rekindle that relationship. That really is the dance of, relationshiping.
So we also talked about, I would like to be the reward my partner comes home to. Wouldn't you like to be the reward your partner comes home to? And being able to anticipate time apart or time together, that you can share these adventures together. So having things that you can anticipate and you look forward to. So you're literally building a life together. And that doesn't mean, what did I say? One person cannot be your everything. So not, like I said, not expecting them to be a mind reader. So clear communication, as well as, so expressing your own wants, needs, desires, and excitements, and knowing that you can do that in a safe way. As well, bringing up taboo and hard and difficult topics is another way of bonding with someone. If you can go through something with someone, that is a way to secure a long-term relationship.
I like what Carlos said as well. Having your own friendships is huge. Like David, having a men's group you can go to, and also your woman having a woman's group where you can go and literally soak in that masculine and feminine energy. There's studies that show that being in men's groups boosts your testosterone, it reconnects you to masculine energy, and vice versa with women as well. So having those moments where you're able to go out and be with your brothers and to play, and then having, your woman in a relationship, she also has her friends that she can go out and connect with as well, is really healthy and really important.
Thank you, Carlos. So Daniela is going to be our last question. And Daniela, you can either ask this yourself or I will paraphrase, because you're interested in meeting someone organically. You're not a church person, and you would prefer not to do the online dating thing, I'm sure, because there's so much that is involved in that. And it is scary until you know how to do it. Then it's fun because it's literally an opportunity that hasn't been available in the past to give you connections with people who we hope, and we'll figure that out, if they're already single and looking, they're already pre-screened in some degree. But your question is really, how do I meet someone organically? And how do I think the answer to that in part is, how do you make the law of attraction work for you? I'm going to give you a super secret ninja skill here. I was modeling this for clients. We were on site, and there was a gentleman with a coffee and a dog on the corner. And I looked at my clients and I said, this is how you do it, baby. And I walked across the street and I approached this guy. I made eye contact and I asked him, we're looking for a breakfast place. Do you know of a good restaurant near here that serves breakfast? And he's like, I know, well, there's someplace here and someplace there. And I said, oh, are you bringing that coffee to your girlfriend or your wife? And he looked at me and said, no, I don't have a girlfriend or a wife. Hey, can I join you guys for breakfast? It was really that simple. I was giving him a chance to screen, who are you, what are you doing, and what are you interested in? Would you like to come and join our party? So the way to do that, I mean, people are always like, oh, in the produce section of the grocery store. I guess the question there would be like, are you, making a special dinner for your family with artichokes? How would you serve this eggplant parmesan or whatever? So if you're engaging somebody organically that way, or I mean, now that we're getting back to being in groups of people again, did you come here with your wife or your girlfriend is what I would ask someone, because I would like for them to tell me their status in a very polite way. How do you, and guys seem scared. Guys, it is scary, I don't know why we can't hear you, but thank you for using the chat. I've given you permission to talk, so sorry for the tech issue, but it's really, so how can you, I don't know, how can you be kinder? How can you be less assertive? I mean, Danielle, I actually don't know you, so I wouldn't know what so you're trying to flirt and be playful. I'm just feeling like, why bother? Right, because something's not working in the way that you're doing it. I don't know if, I have a client who asked me once, how do I get this guy's attention? And she says, should I throw sex at him? And I'm like, well, if what you're interested in is, whenever you want his attention, you're going to have to throw sex, whatever that meant. Or, if you want him to get your attention, that's going to be the relationship, then that could work. And she's like, well, it's not what I really want. And I do have a client who that's what she used to do, because she didn't know how to get someone's attention to engage. She's actually very intellectual. So we adjusted the attractionometer of what's really happening. What do you want the law of attraction to be? So if you're out hiking and you meet someone on the trail, that would be organic. So you can start a conversation, I mean, what's a nice guy like you doing in a place like this? Or, how long have you been hiking? Have you seen what's ahead? Somehow engage in an open-ended question that somebody can't simply Google the answer to. That's what you want to develop in an organic environment so that you can connect with someone. Christopher, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, a couple of things. So I think just to kind of touch on the original question, where to meet people, I think that there's a very simple answer to that, which is just find your joy, right? What makes you happy? What do you enjoy doing? And eventually you will attract something in your element. And not only that, but if people see you in a happy and joyful place, like they're more willing to come up and approach you and talk to you, right? You don't have your guard up, you're more open and free. But I think that, even talking about the problem that men are scared, men are absolutely terrified to go up and approach women. Like that is probably the number one thing that I'm working with my own clients who are men, is overcoming approach anxiety. And so I think it's also just important to recognize as women as well, how much confidence it really does take to be approached by a man in public. To have a man step out of his comfort zone and go up and approach a woman that he finds attractive in public takes so much for him. And he's risking so much rejection and so much of his belief systems in that moment. So I think that's super important too. But, as men, I know that you want a man who's able to just know how things should work, but having the ability, it's like just helping us out a little bit. Like, like even to answer the other question that Sandy was asking about eye contact, like if you see somebody who's out in public and you find them attractive, help him, let him know, because we don't know. We're, as men, sometimes we don't pick up on those social nuances that you find attractive. And if you do make eye contact and there's a little bit of chemistry there, like maybe inviting, like give him a little, like something, or like doing something to become a little bit more in his orbit. But I also think that a large part of it is just just having patience as well. But I think maybe even as women, also taking the initiative and, like Michelle was saying, going up and actually talking to men too, and not just always being in that mode where you're sitting back and waiting for something to happen, like actually taking action. Men are wired to chase. Well, that, I mean, yes, and it's also societal conditioning as well. So I think that a huge factor about this is that because men are scared of approaching women, anything you can do to help a man to feel a little bit more secure himself, or a little bit more like you're inviting him to come up, is, I mean, that'll help so much.
So you just hit on the right word. And I'll tell you, I usually give people the 3 easy steps. So Danielle, I'm going to give you the 3 easy steps. And I realize there's some really good questions, Lori, Raven, Judy, that are still hanging out in the air. And you're welcome to reach out to Christopher or me to get answers to those questions. But I'm going to give you the 3 easy steps to, when you see somebody that you're potentially interested in knowing more about, organically or in the wild, approach them. And I would say in this case, particularly Daniela, because you're feeling like you're coming off with all this masculine energy. So let's try a more feminine approach, would be parallel play. So to set the scene, maybe come next to them as opposed to straight on. And get, if it's not weird, get close enough where you're not booming your voice, and ask, I wonder if you could help me with something. Because then you're already giving them an opportunity to show their masculine energy and come to you and come to your aid. I wonder if you could help me with something. They're going to try and help. And if they aren't going to try and help, probably not the right fit. So that would be the 3 easy steps. So instead of being assertive, coming straight on, come side by side, ask the question, I wonder if you could help me with something, and be prepared with really asking something more than, do you know what time it is? But do you happen to know a restaurant here? Or I'm new to the area. I think you said you were a student. Excellent. That's going to be the #1 line opener. Because, you can say, do you happen to know where the cafeteria is? Or I'm running late for a class. Well, no, then you're taking off. Do you know where the gym is? Where's the restrooms? Anything that you're like, help me with anything. So with that, I know there's some really incredible questions still in the balance, and we all want to go from chemistry to casual to committed. And that's why you're here, to become a gentleman and learn the art of relationshiping. So thank you all for joining us this evening. I'm Michelle Hoffmann, and this is Christopher Linkenbach, your relationship coaches.